Girl, Nads, girl, I'm reading the book, Shantae's World, and I am just so amazed by the writing and the wording and the storyline. Girl, are you laughing at some of the stories, some of the things that people doing? Oh my goodness, that that is a profound piece of work. Oh my goodness. I don't even have the words, honestly, but I am just taken in and I can't wait to see the movie.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Family Reflections. I'm your host, Ketty Emmanuel. Yes, I have missed you too. It's been a while. And there's a lot of things that have been going on. You know, we had the premiere and you saw the last episode and everything. But now we're back. We're having a conversation. I'm glad to have on this episode with me my friend Natalie and Natacha, right? Who are the founders of Refined to Thrive, right? So I'm just gonna go around the room. We're gonna start with Natalie. Just introduce yourself to the viewers and listeners today.
Hi, everyone. So I am Natalie, and I handle, I'm one of the co-founders of Refine to Thrive, but also I handle a lot of our marketing as well as coaching specific within Refine to Thrive.
Cool.
Hi, everyone. I am Natacha. Happy to be here with you guys. As my role in Refine to Thrive, I handle a lot of our document refinement process, if you will. So I'm typically working on resumes, cover letters, and anything else from LinkedIn and coaching for interviews as well.
Okay. Now, before we get ahead of ourselves, what exactly is Refine to Thrive? What are we talking about here?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Refine to Thrive is actually a one-stop consulting agency, and we specialize in helping all people from all walks of life, regardless of if you are a college student, even some high school students, all the way up into the C-suite. So we are helping you develop the actual tangible tools that you need in order to get to the next level in your career or in your educational aspiration. So whether that is a good essay or not even, all of our essays are great. So a great essay for, a college admissions process, or you need a resume as you transition into a new industry, or maybe you've been on the job for a really long time and you're looking to learn how to better negotiate for your salary because we know inflation is real. We are the one-stop shop. So all that you need, you can come to us, and we help people literally all over the country. So we're really excited about what we're doing and how we're impacting the lives of others.
That sounds exciting to me. So it immediately makes me a bit curious here because how did you guys even get started on this? What inspired you to take this on?
Yeah, so I'll try to give you the brief version. So at the height of the pandemic, I would say mid 2020, both Natalie and I found ourselves helping people get jobs, keep jobs, make more money. Natalie was working with a lot of students, graduate students specifically. I was working with people who were early careerists and mid-level as well. And so we were doing the work separately. And at one point, I think it was in November or December of 2020, we just had a conversation because we, outside of being co-founders, we've been friends since we were children. So we were having a conversation about life, and then somehow we ended up telling one another that, hey, I've been doing this work. And then she responded and she said, I've been doing the same thing too. And I said, well, people have been telling me that I should monetize this and turn it into something. I don't know if I really want to do that because I like my 9 to 5. But what do you think? And she said, well, I think that would be great. And I would love for us to partner together and we could reach more people, given our different areas of expertise. And from there, we just kind of have grown, and this has taken on a life of its own. And so we officially started in July of 2021, but the process and the inspiration started in 2020.
Okay, so here's my thing, right? I'm hearing how it all started. But what is it about you that had people reaching out to you out of the random blue in 2020 saying, "Hey, help me"?
Yeah.
What is your background? How did this? Because people don't reach out to me asking you this, okay? So what's going on?
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. So, I mean, I'll speak for myself and then I'll let Natalie chime in. But so my background specifically is in healthcare, pharmaceuticals, and project management. And then on top of that, for as long as I can remember, I, along with Natalie, we've been heavily involved in youth ministries in our churches, in our area. So people kind of know who we are, especially like in the Haitian community, things like that. And so word just kind of gets around. You help one person and then that person tells another person. And so it really became a referral type of thing. And I know for Natalie, I'm sure her experience was similar, but I think she had, you know, a few differences as well.
I would say for me, primarily to echo what Natacha's saying, having served in many different leadership roles within our community, you're sought out for how did you get here, but also to strategy. I love working with strategy and helping people figure out pretty much their pain points of like a problem and helping them solve those problems. And so, you know, to the point of referral, it's one where I always want to be the cheerleader in helping other people thrive. If anything, keeping the door open for growth. And so a lot of folks will tap into that. You know, you rarely see someone who's not in it for their own malice intent, but you see someone who really wants to be able to say, yeah, do it, you could do it. And so having not seen that growing up, being able to provide that to not only our youth, but our friends, but also our colleagues is something is what it kind of grew into. Folks always coming back to be like, so I'm about to make this move. What should I do? And it's so that has helped tremendously in helping us build our coaching clients.
Okay. And that sounds like a very natural flow of events to me. It sounds like this is just who you guys are. And you just decided to put a tag on something that you already were to begin with, right? Yeah. So you've already been refined to thrive, and now you're just moving forward and taking things a step beyond. Okay, I like it. I like the sound of that. All right. So moving forward here, seeing as how this is who you are, right? And this is something that you've already very naturally been doing. How then do you take this and move it beyond where you were previously and what you were doing previously? How do you become successful with this new venture?
I would say one of the key things is both Natacha and I are constantly evolving. We're researching, we're going to get certified, we're doing a lot of different things to continuously keep ourselves, not only just for our market purposes like marketable, but also figuring out what are the roadblocks. And so that's for us is where we're not just like trying to be the experts, the go-tos, and then we just stay stagnant. Ideally, we would never want our client to be stagnant. So that's where we want the growth of our business to also continue to keep thriving. And so I think one of the key things in how we came up with the word refine to thrive is like, I remember listening to Maverick City's Refiner. And so seeing that is it's constantly being a shift and change in your own personality, your own growth. Every work environment you go to, it requires a different part of you. And if anything, you're trying to figure out ways to thrive within what you do. So whether it is climbing the corporate ladder, we've had clients that are like, I don't need the corporate ladder. I'm good here. I just want more money. So it's figuring out the best ways to cater to each and every client and how they would like to see themselves grow is also a testimony of us trying to continuously grow and be able to be marketable to our own clients.
I really like that. I really like that. Well, basically what you're saying here is that you're constantly pushing the envelope and challenging yourself and constantly growing. Mm-hmm. Could you say some of the same things as well, Natacha?
Oh, for sure. I think that what is really unique about us, and we're constantly looking at the market, comparing ourselves to people who are out there, because the reality is we're not the only people who do what we do. But I think what makes us unique is that we aren't satisfied with simply knowing what we currently know. We are constantly, like Natalie said, wanting to learn more, wanting to do more, getting certified, doing the work that we need to do to ensure that our clients are receiving the best possible work for what they're paying, right? I think for us, we recognize, particularly in the time that we're living in, the job market is changing. We see a lot of people either choosing to work from home, volunteering to quit their jobs, right? They're not waiting to be laid off. People are quitting in droves. People are transitioning to the tech industry or just trying to find more lucrative roles. And so for us, it's not enough to simply say, hey, let's put together a resume that will get you a job. We want to really understand what makes people stick out, what makes that person the best candidate. I think one of the things that we constantly are telling our clients in every situation is you need to present yourself with excellence, right? You need to be able to stand out from the crowd. That's how you ensure that you get called for the interview. Your resume is picked from the pile, and we hold ourselves to that same standard. Whatever we're doing it with excellence as well.
Oh, very good. I like the sound of that. So now we're talking about, in my mind, pivoting and growth and challenging yourself and pushing your boundaries, which is a big thing for me. I'm really big on that. So it kind of makes me wonder what you've seen in this lane with the whole 2020 transition into now 2021, 2022, post-pandemic. How has the workforce changed? How has work changed from what you're seeing?
Yeah, I think it's a big change. So I think we're seeing the rise in Generation Z, Generation X. They're entering the workforce, and that's shifting things, right? So we have a lot of baby boomers who are retiring, and so there's a shift in the work culture and what expectations people have when they're applying. We're seeing lots of people be interested in remote work. Whereas that was not an option prior to 2020. Now, a lot of us realize, hey, I can do the same thing I was doing in the office at home. Right. So there's no reason why I need to be in the office. So we're seeing a lot of that. And to be honest, we're seeing a lot of people want more. And I alluded to this before about, us being in, a time where we're seeing a lot of inflation, where the price of living, the cost of living is going up exponentially. So I think whereas before a lot of people would have settled for minimum wage, or they would have settled for whatever was being offered, that's not really the case anymore. I know we talked about this, Natalie and I, there's like this whole 6-figure movement. Right? Like everybody wants to make 6 figures. And in some places, 6 figures doesn't go very far, right? So figuring out how we can help people to kind of get past that is just one of the things we're seeing in the job market. And I think for us, it's really dynamic, and that makes it exciting because there's never a dull moment. Every single client presents with a unique experience, and that makes the job exciting.
I would say too, I know your audience is primarily Caribbean, if not women, but also within, a good range of young professionals, if anything. Right. And it's how do you ask for your value, or how do you also not feel that you have to feel like, I'm not trying to be arrogant, or no, we've always been conditioned to be humble, take what is given and then you walk away with it. But what we're trying to do for ourselves is pretty much allow our clients to realize, no, ask for everything. Right. Ask for it all. Your subordinates are also, or your colleagues are simply asking for it all. Ask for it and modify it too. Like, is there a stock option? Is there, paid administrative, all these other benefits that are available to you, ask for it. Because, closed mouths never get fed. And so that's where we want to make sure that there's some tricks and tools that our other colleagues have been using. It's time for us to start using them as well to get what we want, because it's no service to us to stay in jobs that are not recognizing our value. when we could also be doing what we want, how we want it, and how we would like to be paid when we have the right skills and mindset in terms of how we accept the jobs that we are going for.
No, that's very good. I remember when I got my first job, the first job that actually led to me moving to Massachusetts. I remember getting it, and you have this feeling of, oh, they're doing me a favor. Oh, I'm so lucky to get this job. So you don't want to ask for anything. You feel rude asking for for a pay raise or negotiating your first salary. There's this feeling of, let me just take this and run. And so I think it's extremely important for especially people in our community to feel empowered to ask for a fair wage and ask for what you want. Don't feel like you're lucky, and you shouldn't be asking for anything beyond what you're getting. Right.
No, I think to that end though, that's real. That's a realistic fear that people have, especially if you're coming straight out of college. You're supposed to go to school for 4 years and then you're supposed to secure a job. So no one wants to be that graduate that's like, oh, I don't have a job lined up because I asked for more money and they let me go. That's a legitimate fear. But as Natalie said, there are tons of people who are entering at the same level that we're entering in, who have the upper hand because they know to ask for more. And in reality, the more doesn't have to be a dollar amount. It might be an extra day of PTO. It might be for your job to cover tuition reimbursement for extra courses. It could be a lot of things, but we just don't know if we don't ask.
Right. Now, here's the thing, right? Are you guys full-time Refine to Thrive? Are you still on the 9-to-5 grind? What are we doing?
I would say anything that has my name next to it, I take it full time. But we are working full-time jobs.
Okay.
I mentioned she's in medical tech, but I'm in higher ed. And so I work also with a lot of behind the scenes with not only advising students, but also to helping strategize ways to improve our administration within the organization that I work with. And so, when you love something and you want to see it thrive, for sure, you put in more hours than you usually do. And so the best way or best tip that I learned when it comes to entrepreneurship, and I think there's a reel about this, that little thing you got going on over there, it's not no little thing, it's literally a big thing. So you have to put in the hours and work into making it what you want it to be. And so, we're answering your emails during the day, at night, on weekends sometimes, not on the Sabbath. But, we're doing what we got to do. And so for sure, it's full-time.
Okay. So then that leads me to the question, because I'll tell you about my life. Like, I've had to do some things to ensure that I'm getting some stuff done that, wasn't needed before, and it really begs the question then, how are you balancing all of this?
Yeah, that's a legitimate question. We ask ourselves that sometimes. But the reality is, I think that we have, 3 things that we put into place or that we use that make it more manageable. One, create systems that kind of work to our advantage. So we automate as many of our tasks as much as possible. So a lot of times when you reach out to us via the website, it's not an actual person emailing you back, it's an automated system. So because I think if we had to kind of manage all of the emails all of the time,
right.
that would be overwhelming. So we have certain systems that we've put into play. We use our PTO. We encourage all of our clients to use their PTO, but we use our PTO for non-vacation things. If we have to go somewhere on a workshop, or if we just need the day off to kind of meet and to create a slide deck for something we're doing, we use that. And then we have partnerships. The first one is between Natalie and myself. I don't know that either of us would be able to do what we do as well as we do it by ourselves. And so being able to work together and have the partnership I tell her all the time, and I mean it, that, she is the yin to my yang, right? Her strengths are my weaknesses. My strengths are her weaknesses. So it works very, very well together. And then in addition to our partnership together, we have partnerships with other individuals in the community, with other organizations. And so that kind of helps propel us forward and makes the work that we do easier.
Oh, very good. Yeah. The yin to your yang,
yeah? That's what real partnership is all about. I would say, to kind of go more into detail, it's like, we have a schedule. So what we're posting is not just a random post every day. If you see the theme in our post, it's like Monday, there's a motivational thought, and it goes into detail. If you follow us on Refine to Thrive on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, you'll see there's the theme to what we post, so that it's not just feeding out the same information, but it's appealing to you in different ways. So yeah.
Which I think is very important, right? I guess there we can pivot a little bit into discussing marketing strategy. Mm-hmm. Do you guys have some sort of background in digital marketing, social media marketing? How did you learn to do what you do? Because I really like what you guys are doing. I think you do it very well, right? Yeah. You capture interest, you stop the scroll, and so tell me a little bit about that.
I'm going to say two things, and then I'm going to hand it over to Natalie. And that is because she is our marketing maven here at Refine to Thrive. We knew Natalie has some formal experience and training, but I have very little. The only thing I know is what goes viral. I'm able to follow that and kind of pick up on the trends and say, okay, this song is popular and things like that. But the one thing that we knew when we started is that we would only be successful if we were consistent. We didn't know what that would look like in terms of the type of content that we produced, but we made up in our mind that we would post something every day. Mm-hmm. So, other than the Sabbath, other than, Saturday, daytime and evening, so that full 24-hour period, we're not posting, but otherwise there's something, right? And so, we didn't know what that would look like, but we knew we had to be consistent in order to grow. But Natalie is really the brains behind the marketing. I just show up and stand where she tells me to and do what she says and learn the dance or learn the lines. But she is the brain, so I will give her over to that.
I think to the point of partnership is knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses. I love being creative, so I'm definitely on Instagram more than I need to, just to get inspiration. For a majority of, if not to Natacha's point, what is going viral, but also, oh, that's a cool idea. Let's do this. Let's do that. I play it by Natacha's ear. She's like, nope, that's all you. Or she'll be like, I'll try. So some of the things you've seen posted is Natacha getting out of her comfort zone to try something new, and it goes even more viral. So we found there's certain things that we don't put effort into gets more viewership than the things that I had to edit for a full hour.
Yes.
So that's the thing that we're not working against or for or with the algorithm. We're just posting content that is educational. And that's what's important to what our marketing strategy is. It's that even if you're not taking, our pitch seriously in terms of how to go on our website and order any of our a la carte packages or our customized packages for whether it is you want a resume or your LinkedIn combined package, we are just simply showing you these are industry trends that are happening. Consider this as well. So whether it is your boss is adding more to your workload, have the conversation of compensation. So it may seem very much to your point, Ketty, it's an opportunity that can then lead to another opportunity later down the road. But if it's been 6 months and you haven't had the conversation, now we're in a deeper hole than we were before. And so you're doing 2 jobs when you could have been doing one. So marketing wise, it's giving those tidbits, facts, things to note. And, we may not have physical clients that pay for the service, but it's something that I've had folks reach out to me and say, I actually use that on an interview. I actually use that in my negotiation. I use that actually at work. One of the things that we talk about a few times in some of our information that we shared is the brag bag. Brag folder specifically. So making it that anytime you get a wonderful job, thank you, couldn't have done it without you, or praise reports in your inbox, put it in a folder. So when the annual review comes up, that's something that you could pull out and say, these are the things that I've been doing. Mm-hmm. So that 3 to 5%, I'm gonna need you to stretch it to the 5% because I'm out here changing the whole industry.
Right.
So these are things, again, we don't need you to pay for that, but that's something that should be useful for you to know to use towards your own professional growth and development. So.
Shoot, I'm about to make my own brag folder tomorrow.
As we should.
Now, here's the thing, and when you said that, it struck a chord with me because I have on the INO end, or even, myself and Natalie have worked together with Bridge. There have been times where I spend hours, right, sitting down and I'm getting the colors right and the captioning and I'm doing all these things. And you post the post and it's like, okay, cool. People kind of, all right. And then you take something, you just throw it up there. And it's basically viral, right? Yeah. And so I've found as a creator, marketer, whatever, that, this comedian I follow, Kevin on Stage, said something that really resonated with me. It's like, your job is to create. Yeah. Show up, be consistent. Yeah. Your job is to create. You can't control these algorithms. And the majority of people on the planet don't know how the Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, any of these algorithms actually work. So be authentic, be consistent, and be creative. And I think you guys do a really good job of that. I'm a fan. I like your reels. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say to that, there's times where, we're surprised with some of the attention. The times that I post, I don't need to go into detail about that, but sometimes I'll wake up to so many likes where I'm just like, oh, that little basic thing that we did. So that's where it's to your point, Kenny, it's be consistent because you never know what hits. Some of the things that we're talking about in this, I was telling someone about Oprah's What Happened to You book. Oftentimes when we read or receive something, it speaks to us now, but 3 weeks later, it may speak to us differently. It's because our mindsets are always different. What we're receiving is different based on what we're going through. And so it's similar to where when you're looking at what goes viral is because at that present moment, it was needed. And so everyone's catching on to it, yes. But then it wouldn't have gone viral if it was 5 months later, a year ago prior. So it's really just, as you're consistent, things will catch up to the crowd that you're looking for.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I think that's very pertinent advice. We're starting to run a bit lower on time, so I want to cram in some more questions because I have lots that I want to ask you guys. Now, as Black women doing this, what are some unique challenges that you've had to deal with? What are some things that, maybe if I started Refine to Thrive, I probably wouldn't have had to see the same thing?
Yeah, so we often get that question. So it's something that we thought about. But to be honest, I think we have to be very, very transparent in that this journey so far has been very good to us. We have accomplished a lot more than we set out to. So, I mean, first and foremost, we praise God for that. And I think we are very grateful for the people who continue to support us. But as Black women in particular, we kind of knew what we were up against, especially when we were doing our research. We were fortunate enough when we were starting the project to primarily work with all Black-owned businesses. So everyone who designed our website, who took photographs, who did copywriting, so the whole gamut. So we consistently heard about how hard it is for people of color to break into certain industries, and especially for us, when you look at, career coaching, career consulting, it's typically people who don't look like us. But we knew that we had a gift, and we knew that we were able to reach people who didn't look like us might not be able to reach. And so that's what kind of kept us going forward. But I think outside of the typical challenges that people expect, that we have been fortunate thus far to not experience, I think the main thing that has stood out is really just a mindset shift that needed to take place between the two of us, dealing with things like imposter syndrome, doubting if we were good enough, doubting if, people would take us seriously, right? I know Natalie talked about, us and the work that we've done in our churches and in our communities, right? Would people still see us as Natalie and Natacha, like just two young women, doing this thing? Would they actually pay for services? Would they, think that what we're doing was legitimate? We had conversations with, different, not necessarily influencers, but, people who have been selling services and brands for quite some time. And, we talked about the prices that we were charging. Was that fair? Originally what we wanted to charge, we thought was fine. And, people were telling us, no, like you need to actually charge what is comparable for your time and for your effort. But that came from us because we were doubting ourselves and saying, like, we're going to pay two Black women, even if we're certified in this and we have experience in this, like, why would people, give us their money? So it was really a mindset shift that needed to take place. And that I think that has been and continues to be, if we're honest, sometimes a challenge for us at different points in time. But overall, we've been really fortunate to not have to encounter some of the challenges that others have had to deal with.
Yeah, very good. Natalie, do you agree? Have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I totally agree. When Natacha was talking, I thought about, I guess, when you say the word challenge, we're not providing like a skincare product. We're not providing like a product that you continuously keep using when it runs out. We're providing a service. And so within our service, it's really much like when I'm up for a job, that's why we want to hit y'all up. Or if I'm looking to negotiate a raise or something like that, that's why. So it's not every day someone needs this thing. It's really for an investment into yourself that's going to make that process go where it's not a tangible, here's like a water bottle. So we're not selling this, but we're selling something that's helping you, elevate you, and continuously allowing you to grow. And so that's the challenge, is allowing people to understand that mindset shift with us. And so coaching itself, I've seen the benefit of it. And I've coached folks that are senior level executives to the highest degree. I've seen waterworks at the senior level, and I've seen waterworks at the high school level. But that is that when you're challenged, that is when you start to grow. And that's how, for us, we've been able to grow, is because we're seeing how what we're doing is not interrupting anybody's industry, but is, if anything, creating a pipeline for folks to see their opportunities on the other side. The opportunities that you seek, we're trying to make it that you're not putting in 3-5 more years into work, when it's simply saying, ask for this and you can get what you want. So our services are to benefit you, to help you grow, and if anything, erase the struggle that we feel that we always have to go through, when in reality, you can just take a consultation service from us, or we can help you with the resume, the cover letter. I know for folks, when it's like, oh, I got to do those things, we save you the time by doing it for you. Investing in yourself is now also propelling you into doing something that is greater for yourself at the same time.
Okay. And right there, I think that's a great pitch to your value, right? Because if you can save somebody 5 years of career progress,
yeah,
for your consultation services, then, by all means, I don't think there should be any concerns about whatever needs to be paid or any sort of investment there.
You get back though. Like if you think about it, if you're asking for negotiation consultation that we offer, or if you're asking for the resume or cover letter or LinkedIn, if you're asking for a raise or if you're asking for another job, you're definitely getting this money back. So that's where we're trying to make sure is we're not here to, it's not, for us, it's not monetary. It's not something that, we're not trying to be millionaires off of this. But we just want to get our community on to different levels and to new heights.
That's right. That's right. I think like Natalie said, I think it's really an investment in yourself. I know for some people, they'll be like, oh my gosh, this costs so much. And, I don't know if I can pay it. And we never kind of force people and be like, well, you should just do it. It's something that you have to feel a desire to do. You have to want to do for yourself. But I will say for our clients that have gotten, like a 56% increase in their salary, or who have transitioned to a whole industry, who have been able to move out of state and have their job cover, their moving expenses. It was money well spent. It was money well spent. They made it back and 10 times, if not more, than what they spent. So anyone who's interested in investing in yourself and growing, we're here to help.
Absolutely. And I want to let you guys know, I'm actually a customer. Like, I'm about this life. Yeah, I'm a customer here. I'm all in. Now, here's the thing. Natalie mentioned that, you guys have coached people from senior executives down to high school, and you've seen impact across the board, right? I'm wondering, have you also seen some similar common issues across the board as well?
Can you be more specific? Good question.
So, okay, for example, is there anything that when you coach people, you tend to typically see? What are some common things that you see along the way?
I'll give just one, and then I'll hand it off to Natalie since she does a lot of that. But I think for me, one of the main things is working with people who are not quite ready to take the leap. So they're not quite ready to put in the work. They're not quite honest with themselves about where they are at. So they'll say, I want to make this shift and I need to be coached. I want help doing X, Y, Z. But then when you start to have the conversation with them, you realize they're not quite ready. They feel as though something is holding them back. And so you, as a coach who's assessing that, are saying, no, you can do it, go for it, right? If you imagine someone who is, running a race and you've been coaching them, you've been, you see that they've been putting in the work, they have the strength, but then when they get to the day of the race and they're just telling you, I can't do it, you can't run the race for them. And so for us, that's difficult when coaching people, when we see that they have the degrees, they have the experience, but they don't want to apply. They don't want to ask for more. They don't want to put themselves out there. Unfortunately, that's kind of where our limitations lie. So I think that's definitely one. It's just finding folks who, on the one hand, want to be coached, but aren't quite ready to go all the way.
I think to Natacha's point, so I just recently finished an executive certificate in leadership coaching. And so one of the things is that coaching is not therapy, but there's sessions that you could have. You don't need just one coaching session. You can do several coaching sessions that help solve what the problem Natacha's talking about. One of the things I grapple with at the beginning of coaching some of our clients was, I see them here, like I see them beyond this box right here. I see them going far, but they see themselves here. And so coaching someone where they don't see what you see is hard oftentimes. And so one of the things that we encourage our clients, are you coachable? Are you willing to learn? Are you willing to assess your current circumstance and actually apply the skills that you're learning right now? Not later down the road, but right now. And to Natacha's point of, are they ready? It's one of those things like, well, I want to get a new job by the end of the year. Come to us when you're ready to get that job within the next 3 months. Because at the end of the year, there's so much that can happen and there's so much that could delay your growth process. And for us, that we want to see it. We want to see you win. We want to see you grow, but you also have to put in the work to make that happen. But we're not hand-holding. Our coaching sessions are definitely to encourage you. They may overwhelm you. We're going to be honest with that. They may overwhelm you because you're just like, you've been refined. You've been refined, but it's also, again, you paid for a service that we want to make sure you got what you needed out of the service. So we're not shortchanging you in any way, but we want to make sure that you're equipped to know that there's work that is required post sessions. And so we're making sure that our clients understand not only are you coachable, but you're also willing to learn and revise, if not refine, your methods of how you're going to seek your next job opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah, and if I may, I just wanted to add an example because I think we've been talking in kind of like macro terms, and I want to kind of get into the specifics so your audience knows, what it looks like to work with us, especially in this case. As Natalie was talking about working with people who are not willing to put in the work, everything that we're doing requires a level of partnership, right? We show up giving the best service, and we would hope that our clients are willing to do the work on the receiving end. And a great example of that is our mock interview that we do for our clients. So typically what happens is when our clients have a job offer, a job interview for a job they hope to get an offer for, about a week out, they'll reach out to us and say, we want to schedule a mock interview. And so what we do, which is really extensive, again, saving you time, saving you money, saving you energy, we go in and we research that company. We use different websites to actually find the questions that interviewers typically ask, not only at that organization, but that specific role, right? And so when that individual signs up for a mock interview, we role play as though it's actually an interview. We ask them to dress up. We ask them to position themselves in the camera as though they would for an actual Zoom call. So we take it very seriously. And as Natalie said, it can be overwhelming because we find a lot of people go into interviews kind of just wanting to wing it, just being like, oh, I know what I'm talking about, but you never know what question you're going to get. And so we spend an hour really going in depth, asking those questions, specifically making sure that we kind of put you on the spot so that whatever you get thrown at you, we want you to walk away being like, oh, the interview with the Refine to Thrive ladies was much harder than this interview. I was so ready, right? And what we find in terms of doing the work is that the individuals who not only do the mock interview, but then take the list of questions that we have given them, review those questions, review the recording of that interview, do their own research, practice and prepare their questions, 99.9% of the time, they ace the interview. They ace it, right? If they're not getting the job, it's either because there's another candidate who maybe has 10 years of experience versus their 5, but they always get glowing remarks that they were a joy to interview, that they were on top of what they, were supposed to be on top of, and they do very well. So, but that's only for the candidates that put in the work. So we will show up and give our clients 110% of ourselves, but the challenge is if they're not willing to meet us and do some of the work as well.
Okay, so I can put this, I can, package this for our viewers and listeners in a sermon form, okay? Sometimes in your life, okay, you're gonna see yourself here, somewhere here in this tiny little bubble, all right? And Natalie and Natacha take you because they see you here. They see you out there somewhere.
Preach, Bishop.
All right? Preach. And then they come in and refine you, right? And they work with you if you're willing. All right, amen. If you're willing.
That's right. That's right.
And the results are stellar.
Take your time. Take your time.
No, man. No, it's really dope. I think what you guys are doing is really, really cool. And I really think it's dope. And I'm happy that you're having success so far. I think Natacha has to go soon.
Yep. Yes. Not quite yet. Not quite yet.
Not quite yet. Okay, cool. Well, as that is the case, I have one more question for you. One more question, if you would be so kind. Right? Let's imagine that right in front of us, we have a young lady. She is, 6 years into her career, and she's really good at something. I don't know what she's good at, but she's really good at it, right? And she wants to start a business, because it's who she is. She's good at it, and she wants to do it. She's not going to leave the 9 to 5. And but she's a bit afraid to take the leap here. She's not quite sure just yet if she wants to. She knows she wants to, but she's not sure yet. What advice would you have for this person?
So I would say thank you for setting up the question in a very dramatic way. For those who don't know, Kenny and I have worked together, so it's one where I could throw out the dramatics. I would say one of the things is taking the leap of faith is so stretched out, but I always think of Peter on the water. I just think of like you really have to take the step to learning and continuously keep learning. Because one of the things about when you introduce something new to your livelihood or your lifestyle or to your community is that you often have to. I think of Natacha's dad when he saw our first live and he said, "You guys look very knowledgeable about what you guys are doing." And so your network needs to know what you're doing. And so, you know, our first few clients before we launched were free. We were just trying to figure out, is this something marketable? And so that might just be your first thing that you do is connecting your network to what you're wanting to do. Oftentimes I've heard of other models where people were afraid to share with their network, so they just went live privately with their product and then started building their brand that way. But I would say continuously keep your network intact with what you're doing, because the power of referrals will go a long way. When we first started, we had connected with so many Black-owned businesses where one of the key advice that we had received was, you know, you may not get monetary gains, but the feedback that you receive from some of your clients is as monetary as it can get. And so think of it that way, is that if someone is saying that your brand or what you're providing to others is reputable, but also to something that's going to leave the user feeling refined, if not better than they were before, everyone wants to feel better. Everyone wants to be able to say, like, yes, I use that brand and it's definitely something that you need. And so consider it that. So what I'm trying to say is, you know, figure out what your niche is, introduce it to a small group of people, just your test kit, and then start building it so that your network knows that this is something that you're a go-to, if not guru for. And then you start seeing that it's other people that then refer you have no connection to. I think one of the key things that we're surprised by when we get an order, I'll be like, Natacha, you know this person? Like, do you know this person? I was like, nope, I don't know this person. And that's how it starts to build, because this person knew somebody who knew somebody who knew us. Right. And so that's where you start to see it starts building and building. But the key to it all is the consistency. It's always making sure that what Ketty got or what Natacha got or whatever someone got, that they all felt that they got the same product, but also the same feeling of customer service at the same time.
Beautiful. Very good.
Yeah, I don't think I have too much to add. I think the one thing I know for me that has been key in taking this leap has been a mindset shift. You know, Natalie and I, even before we got on here, we were just having a conversation and we realized that we were not on the same page. I had never wanted to be an entrepreneur, right? I love my 9-to-5. I love, you know, medical technology. I love what I do, but you know, it was very much for her. She wanted it, and for me, the reason why I didn't want it was because I wasn't sure if I wanted to put myself out there like that, right? Again, Natalie, she loves social media. She's good at it. You know, I post my things here and there. You know, but you know, I'm really there just to take it in. So for me, it felt like daunting. Like, you know, I have to put myself out there. I have to talk about myself. I have to, you know, do all of these things. Granted, you know, I speak in people all the time for work, so I had no problem. But just the thought of like doing something that I had never done, not knowing how it was going to be received, was a bit terrifying. So I would tell anyone, assess your mindset first. Make sure mentally you're in a good space. It's going to require a lot from you, and it's going to push you in a way that you probably have never been pushed. But it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to see something that you imagined, something that you wrote down on paper, actually come to life and see people like be excited about it. So go for it and pursue it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I hope you guys realize that you're actually been given a play-by-play here. Like, Natalie didn't just give you, oh, yes, you can do it. She told you, this is what you do, this is how you do it, and this is how you execute, right? And I hope you appreciate that. And yeah, I can't overstate the value of that. Now, I'm going to open the floor. Do you guys have any questions for me? I've been asking all the questions here this afternoon. You guys can bounce any questions that you have off of me before we head out.
I mean, go ahead, Natalie.
You go ahead.
Go ahead.
You go ahead.
No, you. No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I guess for you though, like, what would you say when you're seeing a service like this is a way that you can market it better to your audience? Like, when you see a career development agency like ours, how would your audience receive that as a benefit?
Okay. I think some of the things that I appreciate the most about Refine to Thrive is that you guys are Black women, right? And so you are people that represent a demographic of people that is underrepresented in this section of coaching, consulting. I think as American people or Caribbean people, we've always had women helping us do this, right? Like, I've always had teachers and, folks at school or in college saying, oh yeah, maybe you should do this, put this header over there, bold this, stuff like that. But what I see with Refine to Thrive is a formalized approach to that, a professional approach to that. And I appreciate that. And I hope I'm answering your question correctly. Am I
There's
not?
no right or wrong. No
Okay,
right or wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, another thing I appreciate just because of my background, right, on the digital marketing end, is that I think businesses, startups, anything along those lines have to take a relatively creative approach to catching people's attention in a way that, in a way that is dissimilar to anything that was before, right? Now folks want to be a part of your journey. Folks want you to be a part of their life digitally, right? They're expecting posts from you. Like this week, how come I didn't get any tips this week from Refine to Thrive? You literally become a part of people's lives, and they advocate for you, right? They become brand advocates, which is a formal term because I've done a little reading. but yeah, and I think you guys grasp that in a way that not many other business owners that I know do. And I appreciate that. And I really like the way that you're taking that and moving forward with it.
Yeah, I think to your last point, though, the power of collaboration is something I've also introduced in my own industry, where we are better together than we are by ourselves. And so I think of like Natacha and I, she's a writer. She's a writer. I'm more of a, like, if you need something done right now in terms of strategy, let's figure it out right now. So we are better together. Like, I could say something, we were talking earlier, it's like, is it the need or the want? And she's better with words than I am. And so I will give her the floor and be like, do you? I'll just, the yin to the yang is like, I'll just stand here and just, but I think these collaborations that we've had with our own personal network has been tremendous in seeing the growth of how we can all grow. All of our brands can grow when we collaborate together. And, your network is now getting exposure to my network, and my network is now knowing the work that you're doing, not only in St. Lucia, but across the way when it comes to Facebook, YouTube, and podcasts. So these are things where we may have not known, but now we know. And so that's the same thing when you're looking at your business model, is to collaborate with others to help continuously keep building your brand so that it's something that is now a household name. And to your point, it's a continuation of folks knowing, like, I didn't wake up to a new fact about how to do better at my job, type of thing. Or what's happening now in terms of St. Lucian, film industry, what's popping over there. So these are things that these collaborations help tremendously.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Natasha, were you about to say something?
Yeah, no, my question was, along a different vein, but I was just going to ask that, in your opinion, also as an entrepreneur, working within marketing and trying to, figure out strategy, have you noticed a shift, if any, with kind of how people are putting themselves out there? Do you think people are paying more attention or less attention to algorithms, or people have just gotten into, a position where they're just posting more organically? Like, what has been your experience?
I think what's happened is that people are grasping, or there is a more widespread grasp of the value of authenticity, right? So I think more people understand that if I put on a very well-polished suit and I speak very proper English, and and I am very professional, and I have very high production value and the best cameras and the right angles, and I have the zoom ins, and all of that, then people are really gonna love my content. That's not true. That's not true at all. Like, in fact, some people, as soon as they scroll and they see that really, really high quality video, they keep scrolling because, like, oh, it's a marketing thing. Yeah, they just keep scrolling past. But if people see you dancing around, or they see you brushing your hair in the mirror, they stop and they're like, oh, what's this person doing? What's this person saying? And
Exactly.
Me saying that is not to say that, oh yeah, our videos should be just willy-nilly, right? But what I'm more so saying is that authenticity is key in the current environment, and people want to know the real you and see what you're really doing and be a part of it. And I see more people doing that and doing it well.
Agreed. We laughed when you said, the dancing around, because that's something we've noticed. Like, I do the Thursdays tips, and I'm usually like in a professional top, and I'm, telling people educational, information, trying to help them get ahead. And like, people will share, or they'll like, but the posts where we're like dancing, where I don't know the steps, where we're just having a good time, like, those are the ones that like people like, and then they DM us and like, oh my God, you guys look like you're having so much fun. It's just like, okay, I guess this is what you like. But definitely the authentic stuff is really where it's at.
I think even so, that goes back to your question about what to tell a young aspiring entrepreneur, is like, you have to have fun even in the midst of calamity. Like, even if it's like, wait, we're behind our deadline. We're not, we had deadlines too. Did they pass us? Yeah, but we were able to say, okay, we're still learning as we grow. But the thing about authenticity is your talent or your gift will make room for you. And I tell that to anybody and everybody, is that when we always think that imposter syndrome is gonna overcast on us, is that what you provide to other people, only you can. No one can take, you could share the whole blueprint of what you would like to do, and you see someone else may copy it, but like, what you are providing is something that is unique, and that is something that maybe even God sent. It's the other person didn't get the dream, the other person didn't get the vision and the wind and the waves that marked out, this is how you're crafting the skill that I want you to give out to the world. And so I think it's really trusting the process and knowing that your skill will grow over time, but it also will make room for you in places that you would not even imagine.
Absolutely. Because that also, that what you just said there about, you being your brand, your product, your brand, that is also your best weapon against competition.
Yes. Yeah.
Because ain't nobody else you. You're the only you. You know?
Your DNA is different.
Yeah. So the people that follow you and like you, if you stay true to yourself, they ain't going nowhere.
No. And I think that's to Tasha's point, the dancing, like y'all been seeing us do some sermons on some stages, and you see us dancing on the reels, you're like, oh, that's two different people. It's out of our comfort zone, but that's us naturally. It may seem like it's out of our comfort zone, but we forever laughing when we're next to each other. There's not a moment we're not having even if she's rashing me or I'm rashing her, like we are laughing at each other. And so we want you to see that there's a funny side to us, there's a serious side to us. We presented in front of hundreds, but not thousands of folks year round, but at the same time, what you get from us is true authenticity. It's really someone that's in your corner to make sure you continuously grow, if anything.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, guys. So with that being said, we are over time, but I want to tell you guys that I really enjoyed this conversation, and for the viewers and listeners watching this, I will be putting some of their reels, some of their video stuff right after this episode. So stick around. You're about to see that. And we also want you to follow them. Natalie, can you just tell us where folks can follow you and be a part of your journey?
So we're Refined to Thrive on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So you can follow us at Refined to Thrive. So TO, not the number 2. And you could, like, share, repost, comment, and use our services at the same time.
Yeah, there you go. And I will do my best to add those links. If you're watching this on Facebook, it's going to be in the description. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's going to be in the description below. Check them out. Show some love. And I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Love y'all. Bye.
Thursday's tip. Employers respect and appreciate employees that they can trust and depend on. One way that we demonstrate this is when our words match our actions. For example, if we have a project that's due on a specific date, get it done by that date that was agreed upon. The reality is, in business, it's difficult to build relationships without trust. And once that trust is ruined, it's really hard to rebuild that relationship. So ensure that you are giving yourself the best possible advantage by really building those relationships, strengthening them, and being the person that people can trust. Follow Refine to Thrive for more tips.
Yeah.